I did not always get it right when it came to being celibate and being abstinent. I slipped up. I fell on the D. I ran to the D. I flew to the D. I think I did so many things for the D, I can't keep up. But if you're like me and you slipped up on whether the D or the P, you need to watch this video. Welcome everyone to Living Purified. My name is Debbie. This is my online journey to living a pure life with my mind, body, and soul for Christ. Today, I want to talk about the aftermath if you slip up sexually and you talk to that ex. This past weekend was Valentine's Day, and a lot of people like to blow up your phone or you feel some kind of way, whatever, but it made me start to think about how many times I've slipped up and what did I do to not slip up, or at least really put up certain things so that I kept living that pure life that I really wanted to live for Christ. The first thing I had to do was I had to admit the sin to God and to others. So it's one thing to go to prayer. It's one thing to hop off him or hop off her, but the next thing you should be doing, and especially if your conviction is real, because I've had real conviction even right after having that moment, you have that conviction, right? You got to admit the sin to God. And then also admit it to other people. And that goes into accountability. And that's something that I didn't really have. Like, I had a Bible study group that I was a part of, but I wasn't admitting when I was slipping up to them at all. Like, I would talk to God, but I wasn't talking to anybody else. And I think that's something that I wish I would have done differently, which I'm doing now. So that's a good thing. The other thing that was real for me was guilt. Guilt is real. You have conviction, especially if you are living a pure life. Some people don't have the guilt. I'm not gonna lie. I've talked to girlfriends and guys, and they're like, yeah, I've done it. I know I'm not supposed to. I don't got no guilt. I don't know what this guilt is. I've had guilt. Once I really committed to it, the guilt is real. But the second thing you got to do after the slip up, after you done did what you did, is evaluate the situation. Like, really ask yourself, what could have I done differently? How did I handle this? Don't worry about what they did, how they came at you. You really need to do self-evaluation. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, no temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape that you may able to endure it. So there's no real excuse why I let myself in that situation, because there was probably plenty ways up for me to get out of it. But the third thing I did after the slip up is I set some real boundaries. Once you understand what tempts you, once you understand who and what tempts you, you have to put up boundaries. If that means no kissing, if that means you can't even be at his house, you got to sit in a car, or whatever it means. Maybe you guys don't even really talk about certain topics. Maybe you're not watching certain things. You're protecting your eye gates and your ear gates. Whatever that is, you got to figure out what those boundaries are. Find one or two Bible verses to really reflect on, to stand on, and to meditate about when it comes to this, because it's not easy just because you slipped up. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do these things and I'm good. Like, no, I've been through that. Like, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. And then slipped up again, then called him up again, he came over again. Like, just because you're ready to stop slipping up doesn't mean the person is ready to stop slipping up with you. So be very careful of that. The fourth thing is, especially with people who have guilt, and I had a lot of guilt, is remember that God still loves you. No matter how many times you done slipped up, called, did your thing, I had to remember God still loves me, and I don't want to let guilt, shame, or even people like this. I've had girlfriends and guy friends that say, hey, I tried, I slipped up, I guess I ain't ready. Like, don't let that be the reason why you don't continue. I understand self-control is a process, so you can't just well, I slipped up, so I guess I ain't ready for it. It's like, no, you have to get back to your why, and you can do it. It doesn't mean that it's going to look perfect. The last thing I wish I would have done is cut the poison or the root out of your life. And that could even be me. I sometimes have to break up with myself. I remember my pastor said that. Sometimes you're the problem. It's not always the person that you did it with. It's you. If you just slipped up, okay? Because it happens. I mean, sometimes some people really never slip up. They literally hold fast. But I ain't that person. I had to learn to admit the sin to God and to others. I had to evaluate what I did wrong and what I could do differently. I had to set real boundaries for what to do in the future. And I had to remember that God still loves me and not to pull away from him, even if I have guilt, shame, or feel like I have no self control. The other thing I had to do was to cut off whatever it is, the root of that in my life. Doing this has definitely helped me. And I'm so excited to continue to talk about the different things that I went through. And I'm still learning as I go about this journey. So thank you again for watching Living Purified. My name is Debbie. I'll see you